together so they can try things. Yell about it, it's podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Hello and welcome to Now Try This, the podcast where two best friends get together every week to try something new. I'm Marcus, that's Nick. Nick, how are you?
Marcus, I am feeling buoyed up. Nope. I am feeling
up?
I'm feeling
Let's work through this. You got this.
Jazzed up because
yeah.
it's starting to be warmer and I get to wear my 25-year-old sweater, 30-year-old sweater
Now,
that my partner hates.
Your partner hates it. Can you fashion show it a little bit? Can you I don't know how much standing room you have over there.
It is.
Oh yeah,
really
look at
long.
that. Rock-aware.
Vintage. Got it from my best friend Joseph Cruz, who got it from his daddy. And I still have it and I still wear it and I think it's retro and looks nice and cool and everyone disagrees with me. But at some point, some fad or fashion thing will loop around and I'll be in because it is comfy. It is comfy. It is loose. It's long. I feel good in it. I imagine this is how like Ren Fair nerds feel wearing like those sleeveless long cotton vests. I don't even know what they're called. Like the Matthew Mercer thing. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, it almost feels like that, but it's cool because it's Rockaware.
I don't think we're quite there in the fashion trend yet.
Rockaware's not back?
No, it's not back yet. But right now we're like kind of skirting towards that. Because we're in the 90s.
Oh, because we hit 90s. We're
in 90s. We're in post-academia fashion style. We're getting there.
Grunge,
okay,
right?
Yeah, so soon it's going to be the Rockaware. I saw someone recently posting about how drippy the button ups that had the entire thing covered in like Spider-Man. Like it was one big Spider-Man picture, one big Yu-Gi-Oh picture.
Close.
That is right before what you're wearing.
Wow. Well, pretty soon I'll be dripping. Guys, this is Now Try This. Like Marcus said, we're best friends and we try stuff. But what does that mean? That means every week, one of us takes something that we love, that we're passionate about, that we're excited about, and challenge the other one to watch it. But today is a little bit of a strange challenge because this was a joint challenge from... I would kind of say it's a joint challenge between you and Joseph challenging me because today we are doing Scream 6, but make sure to check out next week because next week is powered by Patreon. That's right. Patreon.com/NowTryThisCast is where you guys voted and we are doing Ted Lasso Season 3. However many episodes are out so far by next week is what we'll be doing on the podcast live on twitch.tv/NowTryThisCast. Tuesday at 9 p.m.
I'm interested in this challenge. I feel like this is the first time we've gotten a repeat challenge on the Patreon, and I'm excited
first time
to
for us too.
Have a follow-up.
You know what? This opens a big door because I made you watch like the first episode of Gilmore Girls. Maybe I challenge you to watch an episode of the second season. Or the third, This opens up a whole new thing and we've just been talking about I don't know, we feel like we've messed up. Today is Scream Tea. Yes, thank you for joining us. We've talked about how many things do we really love that are left? And we're a lot because there's lots more seasons and sequels and things.
Yeah.
So Ted Lasso Season 3 coming our way.
Yeah. Okay. I think you're right. I like follow-up episodes. I like stuff like that. We just have busy lives and we don't have the ability to do that. But if that Patreon number goes up a little bit, just a little bit, and by a little bit, I mean a lot of it, then we could afford to quit our jobs and do this full time.
Yes, we will quit. Guys, if you, we don't want to do it. But enough of you join the Patreon. We'll quit our jobs and do more stuff.
I would work if this covered even half a salary. I would switch to a part-time job and do the other part-time.
Marcus, there's no question. I just need this to pay enough for the rent. Not even food. I'll figure out food. I'll scrounge around for food. I will find a way to eat. just pay the rent so my partner's not mad, and we are Gucci.
Number
T,
one
you
fan
are the number one fan.
has
You are the
3
number one
subs to the Patreon. That is true fandom right there. That is a man who wants us to watch the things that he wants us to watch.
And if you want to beat him, go ahead and join him at patreon.com/nowtrythiscast. Now, Marcus, we very unfortunately weren't here last week, but that's because we had to recover. We had to get our sea legs back because we did something very exciting together in person.
Dun dun dun. I am so hyped about this next segment because I don't get to see you. I don't think the people on the podcast know that I don't really see you that much in person. I see you once a week on the podcast, but so do they.
Yeah, one of us wanted to go and be middle class and buy a home and leave New York City and to find greener pastures. Yuck. Leaving the other one to die destitute on the streets of New York City. I'll let you guys guess which one. I hope
you're not dying and destitute on the streets
it feels
of
that
New
way.
York City.
It feels that way without you. All right? It feels that way without you.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But yeah, no, we don't. We thank goodness we have a couple listeners here, and they allow us this time to be on our schedules, to meet up every week, to connect, to watch things together. And it's that little taste of what college used to be like, where we would on a late night go watch a shitty movie or do this or do that and go around, and we get a small sampling of that. But this last weekend we got to actually do that, just like old times with our other friend Joseph.
Yeah, one day I think I can convince you to get a house in the suburbs of New Jersey.
I don't think it's gonna be that hard.
Hell yeah.
Listen, the other day we were walking around, Lexi and I, and we were talking about the future and things. And I was just like, we could move to Dunkirk, my hometown, right now, and feel like millionaires.
Yes,
right now, not with saving anything.
No,
just with 1 month's worth of pay, and just go there, and we'd be like Gucci for a solid minute. There's
also places in upstate New York that your cash would go a long way still.
Not as much as Dunkirk, man.
That's true.
I looked, and 1 year of your mortgage payments would buy a whole house over there.
That's very true.
But we have been talking about the future, so maybe it'll happen. But Marcus, stop bearing the lead. Stop it. Tell me, what did we do?
Nick, we went to Boston to head over to PAX East, which is a yearly gaming and board game convention, video game and board game convention that I go to every year. And I wanted you to come. And you and Joseph joined me in my adventures.
Oh, so many misdeeds. And I have been before, but it was super special because Joseph has a family. He's got kids. He doesn't get out much. And bringing him along to a convention he's never been at was a lot of fun. And it was great. We saw the con. We saw just a little bit of Boston, and we got to play games, and it was fantastic. What were some of your favorite parts, Marcus?
Man, it's so funny because I feel like I was stressed out a lot about PAX because I was like, I want to make you guys happy. I want to make other people who were going with us happy. I wanted to make, people we were going there and also wanting to see happy. And I was stressed out. But once I got in there and once I got on the floor and we made it through the doors and we were inside, I was like, I am at this awesome, beautiful, cool place with my best friends, and I couldn't be happier. It was fantastic. So just the vibes of us goofing around, being, communicating with one and each other, what we wanted to get done, what our needs and wants were throughout the day, I think was great. And getting to kind of speed run the floor with you guys, and you guys just be like, you know what? We're going to follow Marcus zooming around for a little bit and then kind of peel off and do what we want to do as we see things. It was very nice.
It was great. PAX is one of those conventions where if you've been to Comic-Con, you don't understand what PAX is. The only way you can get it is if you go, because it's just big enough to be exciting and daring and a whole bunch of new things, but it's just small enough where it feels like you're making a dent. It feels like you are like learning things and seeing interesting things. Like some conventions are so big and so many people, but PAX, everyone's friendly. Everyone's complimentary. Everyone wants you to stop them and bother them about their games. Everyone wants you to go to their booth. They want you to stop, but they're not pushy about it. They're also awkward gaming nerds. So they're like, if you want to play your game, that's cool. I remember I bought Tome, like game that's like spades. Yeah. And when we walked up, I was like, oh, this box looks so cool. And there were two guys there. One was doing a demo and the other guy was like, a tome. And I was like, yeah, looks really cool. What is it? He's like, and he explained to me what it is. I was like, that sounds great. I want to buy it. He's like, the other guy had to do it. So he had to come up. He's like, oh, you want to buy the game? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, do you want to buy the expansion too? I was like, oh, what's the expansion? He's like, oh, well, it adds this. And I was like, oh, how much it is? Oh, it's 18 for all of it. I'm like, great, I'll take it. And he's like, oh, great. I don't have a bag. Oh, that's okay. Okay. It was so, and that energy was throughout the whole con for everything. And I love it.
Yeah, it was great too, because he definitely gave you a discount, because it was like $5 and then it was on sale for $4 and you got it for $3. And it was like, okay, that's pretty good.
I love it. I will tell you, there was one moment where that happened and I didn't get so when we sat down to play Set to Watch, that D&D game, I knew that the base game was $30. And then I can get the expansion for $20 and I can get $50 for all of it. Retail MSRP was like 40 and 40 or something.
Yeah.
Which is already a deal, but I didn't know if I wanted the expansion. But when I went up, she was like $40 for both. And I was like, give me those games.
Yeah.
Give me those games right now.
Yeah.
But she wasn't the cashier. When she brought me to the cashier corrected at 50. I was like, oh,
lame.
Man,
lame.
All right.
If it was a smaller booth, you could have gotten away with it.
I would have insisted. I wouldn't have insisted. I would have just like, oh, I thought you said 40. Like it had disappointed me the way.
That would get some people. But yeah, I think the coolest thing about PAX, if you've never gone, it's a huge gaming convention, but it's so personal. It's one of the few gaming conventions that I've seen that everyone's experience is so different than what you may want to do. Like you can perfectly curtail the experience to be exactly what you want to get out of a convention. You want to spend all day playing board games? That's fine. You want to spend all day going to tournaments? That's fine. You want to play Magic the Gathering all day? You could do that. You want to play Pokemon all day? You could do that. You could do anything. If you just want to try board games out, if you just want to focus on video games and spend all day like doing demos of new games and indie games and talking to developers, you can do that too. If you just want to hang out, going to panels or just meeting other people who are like into the same kind of games you are, you can do that. Go to the after parties, make out with strangers. You can do whatever you want to do, and it's great. I was watching videos of people's experiences at PAX and what they've been going through.
Oh, yeah.
And it's vastly different than mine. I was like, oh, they're like standing in line waiting for games. They're like talking to different developers. They're trying different games out. But for me, I feel like I spend a lot of time going to the game booths, looking at the games and buying games, but I don't necessarily try any of the video games because a lot of times the demos are out on Steam. And so I'll like make a mental note or I'll take a little card and then go home and download the game and try it out or something.
Totally.
Later.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine. It's crazy to me that there's just all these PCs of all these games that people are just like trying out. Yeah. It just seems like only because so many of the games seem like so resource managey or like farmy or like all these things. It's like, what are you going to do in 10 minutes?
Yeah. It's also,
but
yeah, that's true.
I love that people are passionate about it. It's so cool to see it. And I wish I had 4 days to be there the whole time. I would totally play some games.
Honestly,
why the hell not?
Thinking about it and watching those videos again, I was like, depending on who joins me next year, like if it's just me and Matthew again, like I'm just gonna go the one Friday. But if like Daron joins and like her cousins were talking about maybe coming and like Pete and Anuja were talking about maybe coming, if all those people come to PAX, I might do a 2-day thing where I have one day kind of like doing what I want to do, and then the other day kind of being like a chauffeur to everybody.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. I think you should have a. Honestly, it's so fun to go with people, but it's the kind of where I wouldn't mind going by myself either, because
Yeah.
people are so friendly.
Mhm.
The booth people are so friendly, and there's so much to do.
There's a lot,
especially
to do.
like you said. Like we thought about joining a tournament. We wanted to join a tournament, but we just didn't have the time.
I feel like the thing with that too is that like I would recommend for most people, like if you are an efficient person who like knows what they want and can be in and out, go for one day, try it out. But
100%.
if you're like, you know that you love these things, this is a huge passion of yours, and if you're a little bit like more sociable, I recommend multiple days.
100%. And especially if you are someone who, doesn't have a lot of friends, or maybe you don't even have a significant other, there are parties that I've been to around PAX that are actually a lot of fun, really friendly, like at bars and dancing and stuff. But because it's this atmosphere, they're really fun. They're really nice. And again, if you don't have a lot of friends, try to stay at a hotel near the con, because people are playing in the lobbies. People are around all day long during these tournaments, during these free plays, where people will let you just join them. They're just looking for more people to play. Same with D&D. Same with, some people bring their whole freaking PC builds and do PC gaming.
Yeah, that's true. It's a great place to make friends, for sure.
It is. I've made one friend.
I've made 0 friends at PAX, but it seems like a great place to make friends. I street passed a bunch of people on my 3DS, and I was hyped.
That's so silly. I'm so glad
it's dead
that happened to you.
now. And some
I
games,
know.
like you need to street pass people for them, so it's kind of nice.
I love that. So I have here some of my pools. Do you want to talk about them real quick?
Your pools? What are you talking about?
My PAX pools. I got it in front of me right here.
Oh, okay. What are you?
I got
what you bought at PAX? Okay, yes.
Here's Tome. It's a spades-like game. Very pretty design, where instead of like cards, they're like elements. This is the one we just talked about. I was gonna play this with Lexi, but we realized since it's like spades, you should play with 4 players. So you and Daron have to play this one with us.
Okay, that sounds good.
Honestly, it seems like a perfect 4-player game. We both bought this game.
Yeah.
Where it is a deduction game where you are trying to lie about having Luna in your hand while all these other skeletons are like, it's Coco. There is a human in the skeletal world and you have to find the human. But it's 5 to 9 players, so it's a great group game, and it's got this great art that's very Latino. That's amazing, that we both gravitated towards. I got Set a Watch, which is this game that we demoed because we were in line for something else. And basically you choose it's 1 to 4 people can play, and you choose 4 adventurers, and you set watch like you do in a D&D game, and you have to set the watch. And I
thought you hated that game when we were playing it.
I did at the beginning. I did. I literally turned to Joseph and did you see me pull out a 5-hour energy from my bag, take half of it and tell Joseph, do you want the other half? And he went, no. And then he said like 2 more rules and he was like, yeah. But by the end, I totally got it. It felt like a good game. And then my big purchase here was Everdell.
Oh, yeah.
A huge game that is 2 to 4 players? 1 to 4 players.
Nice.
Where basically it's a world that's like Secret of Nim or something like that, where there's all these critters and you are trying to like build a civilization in this Everdell place where it has all these like critters. And like in the game itself, you like make this tree, like it stands up and like has all your resources. And I opened it up and I got the collector's edition. I got like metal coins in here and beautiful pieces. And I am very excited to play.
I'm excited to watch you play.
We're gonna
hear about it.
The last thing I got was I started getting this adventure terrain.
You built it out? That's cool.
Yeah. So where basically it is terrain for D&D, but it is Legoed 5x5. So I can rearrange this and I can buy more to build off of. They got castles, they got forests, they got jungles, they got trees, they got people. And Joseph had the great idea where if I can set it up, I can put all the minis that I have painted myself on it to display.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is a werewolf that I painted.
That's really cool. I didn't know you painted minis.
Just a couple. I started over the pandemic and then real life took over. And that is what I got.
That's amazing.
That's my pulse. Those are my pulls.
I didn't bring my pool here upstairs, but
Oh, I didn't either. I made my girlfriend go get it for me.
okay, here's what I got. I got No More Heroes physical from Limited Run Games. I'm a huge game collector. I track all of my video games in an app so I can know not that I'm ever gonna resell them really, but I just like knowing which ones I need to go out and buy a case for because they're worth too much to get damaged now.
Marcus, you're a collector. You're a collector. You ain't gotta explain yourself.
I'm a collector.
You're a collector. Collectors they want to know the worth, but they're never gonna sell it.
Yeah. Rune Factory 4, because that's like a cute RPG farming simulator thing that kind of looked like fun. Death's Gambit Afterlife, which is a Souls-like Metroidvania game that I heard really good things about. And I picked up Yokai Watch because the 3DS is, they closed the eShop recently, and a lot of people have been talking about that, and it's been affecting game prices. And so I just wanted to pick it up because it was $20 and a reasonable price before, just in case it skyrocketed and I wasn't able to get any more. And I've always wanted to play Yokai Watch.
Yeah, physical media is this funny thing where some people are like, oh, we need it forever. And then some of us are like, yeah, okay, everything's online. And then when everything's not available online, you're like, oh shit, the physical people were right.
Yeah, I'm a physical person for sure. I think that if you can get your media physically or, save it on your private hard drives in some way, I think that is the way to go, because streaming services are constantly wheeling and dealing and selling the rights to different movies and TV shows to each other. And you never know if your favorite show is going to go away. So
totally.
If you can get an old DVD copy off eBay, especially if it's something you're going to watch again and again and again, you might as well own it.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. But for video games, especially PT, the playable teaser for Silent Hill that was created, and then the game never came out, and then they just removed it from the store. There's a bunch of games that have had things like that happen to them.
Yeah, if you don't have that game downloaded on your PlayStation from the time, you just don't have it, right?
Yeah. And I also picked up board games. I picked up Deadly Dowagers is kind of the highlight of the board games that I picked up, which was a game where you play as women who are trying to marry up. And then in order to marry up, you gotta not stay married. And the way you don't stay married is by murdering your husband.
It sounds dope. I'm excited to play.
It sounds fun. I haven't tried it out yet, but I'm excited about that. And I also got Hysteria. What was that game called? The card game.
Hysteria.
Hysteria. I picked up Tower Defense game. I think it was called Tower Panic. That looked pretty fun. And it was in a used board game pile. And I got a couple other board games. I feel like for me personally, I always put a lot of pressure on myself to come back with one good party game.
Marcus, I have now met your friends from Boston. That pressure does not come from you. That pressure comes from your friends.
Thank you.
Your friends look at you, be like, well, you're the board game guy. Show us a fun group game, Marcus. And those were the words that were said. I'm not hype. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, it wasn't said like that. It was said much nicer. I will say that. But
I guess it wasn't. They're just your friends. They put a lot of pressure on you to buy a couple group games. And you did it. And it was great.
I succeeded because we did pretty good.
They were great games.
Yeah, there was one where you get a word, you don't know what the word is, and your friends or whoever you're playing with write down a word associated with that word. And then if anybody has doubles, those get crossed out. They cross each other out. And then whatever's left over, the person whose word it is has to use those words to try to guess what their word was that they do.
Very good group version of Taboo,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Taboo is a great game that we love.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like that.
Some PAX disappointments.
Okay.
There was one thing that I saw that I realized I want to buy this, and then I didn't see the one I wanted, where I saw a whole bunch of Pokemon cards that were graded, that looked so cool, and that were like 20, 30, 40 bucks. And I was like, you know what? I would pay 40 bucks for a good Pokemon card in a little TCG case that I could put on the display. But I just didn't find the one I wanted. I didn't find any of my favorite Pokemon. If I saw my favorite Pokemon, I would have put down at most 50, but less than that, hopefully, on a graded Pokemon card. I didn't find one. I wish I did.
There's something
and now I'm on the hunt.
there's something about the graded cases that I do like. I think I want a graded
so
Pokemon
pretty.
card as well. Because
Yeah.
after you were talking about it, I was like, yeah, that's like I'd pay $15-20 for like a shitty card. It could
That
be
you like.
grade 1. It's just in the grade thing. It looks nice, whatever.
Or a common or just rare card, but it's your favorite.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I
do that with comic books.
I have 2 graded comics and I love them. They look so nice. You know, just being graded and in the case. I have one old Flash and one new Flash, and they're like so cool.
I intentionally will sometimes go on eBay and look at like shitty graded comic books because it's like I don't need issue 1 of Venom or issue, the first appearance of Carnage or whatever. I just like Venom, and so I want a random issue that has a cool cover with Venom on it and graded, and it doesn't have to be a 10 because I'm not trying to resell it. So if you put all that in, it's like $10 on eBay, which is great.
Yeah. If I had a place to put them all, I totally would buy more.
Same. I would buy more.
I probably will get more Flash at some point, but
right now I have Walking Dead, Invincible, because you got me that one, and Saga. But I would like to get
you
like
have
one
Saga
X-Men
number
one,
one, right?
Whatever. Yeah, Saga number 1.
Yeah.
It's right behind my head.
Nice. That's good. You got Invincible number 1, Saga number 1, and what Walking Dead number do you have? Just a random one? You like?
It has Negan. And it's like 40 something, 140 something. It has Negan and Rick on it. So I was like, oh, that's a good one.
Cool. That's a good one to get.
Also,
Amazing.
we dueled in Yu-Gi-Oh, and I haven't dueled in a while. And you made me a cool zombie deck that was fantastic, and I loved it.
Oh my!
But
God.
it made me spend more money on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I showed you the case that I bought.
It's very nice.
I ended up buying a Trap Tricks deck, and it's a lot.
All right, Marcus. Is there anything else you would like to talk about PAX?
I guess we have to talk about Scream now.
Guys, we are here today to talk about Scream 6. And Scream 6 is a 2023 American slasher film directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette, written by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick. It is the sequel to Scream 2022, also known as Scream 5, and it is the 6th installment in the Scream film series.
These guys also directed Ready or Not, and they both have credit for Ready or Not and segments from VHS.
Ready or Not. I know you liked it. I love Ready or Not. Ready or Not is exactly what I want from a horror film. It is irreverent. It is funny. It is just a little spooky every once in a while with tension, but it's got good action. It's got good chase. It's got good tension. Love Ready or Not. One of my favorite horror films, I must say.
Yeah,
which is probably why this one was all I was all about.
That's fair. It felt like easily digestible popcorn horror.
Don't downplay my favorite film by calling it popcorn horror.
I'm not saying.
No,
I'm
absolutely
just saying,
not.
No, like
get your derogatory statements out here
or anything. Like it's no.
What the freak is?
It's not even like a Saw. 2? You know what I mean? It's like.
You know how I feel about Saw. Don't you dare.
I'm just saying. Look, I'm not trying to knock it. I'm just trying to let people know what kind of movie that is.
Underrated. You
this
agree with me. You
was
liked
a lot
it.
more violent than Ready or Not.
Yeah, it was. But the violence is what I'm talking about. I just liked how clean that story was. It was a simple premise. They executed the premise well, and that's it. Yeah, that's all I want for most horror movies. Most horror movies get that wrong.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which is like the problem. But so a little backstory. I have probably watched one whole Scream movie, but in bits and pieces from television growing up. So when Joseph mentioned, hey, Scream 6 is coming out when we're PAX, we should go see it. And you were like, hell yeah. And I was like, I've never seen them. And then Joseph was like, well, you better get on it. So the 2 weeks leading up to PAX, I watched all 5 Scream movies and I loved them.
Nice.
They are fantastic films. It is crazy to me that I haven't watched all of them. I had a great time. I had a great ride. But what's your history with the Scream franchise before we get to 6?
Look, Scream is an iconic franchise. The first one came out when we were very young. I have been a fan since the first one came out, and a fan on and off. I feel like whenever these movies come out, maybe except one of them, but most of them are inoffensive. They're pretty fun. It's a good time watching it and trying to figure out who the killer is. And then they always try to trick you up at the end.
Well, I mean, the original and the first four were all made by Wes Craven, who is unilaterally, one of the granddaddies of horror. The creator of Nightmare on Elm Street, the creator of lots of great stuff, and they're great. They're great.
I think the Scream movies were great, and then they also switched hands and they became very meta, which I thought was interesting. After Wes Craven stopped working on them, they also they were meta too beforehand, but they got even more meta and leaned into that aspect of it as well.
I mean, that was kind of the I don't mean to push back, but that's kind of the shtick from the first one. The first one, they talk about horror movies in the opening scene,
No. I'm not saying it wasn't meta from the beginning. It was meta from the beginning, but it knew what it was doing.
Meta on itself.
Yes, yeah. It knew what it's doing, and then later evolved and dove into that, and then became so meta that it was referencing itself. It references cultural things at the time. I think when it first started, it was like a self-aware horror movie, and it still is a self-aware horror movie, but now it's using other tropes of the time to comment on current horror, whereas when it first came out, it was just commenting on all horror that had come before it.
Sure. Yeah, I totally hear that. Well, it's also funny because this movie kind of marked the end of slasher movies. Before this time was the Jasons and the Freddys and the Michael Myers, and all those were all in their 6th or 7th installation, and they sucked, and nobody liked them anymore, and they weren't making money anymore. And Wes Craven himself said he was done making those kind of movies, especially because he said he wasn't comfortable with some of the things he's accidentally said about women and the tropes and stuff. And he said he wasn't going to do horror anymore. He said he wasn't going to do this kind of movie, but then some random guy, Kevin Williamson, wrote this script, and it came across his desk, and the rest is history. And this marks the end of that, but then also the beginning of a self-aware horror movie, because this is the 90s, man. The 90s is the time of detached irony. That was the thing of the 90s, and that holds a special place in millennials' hearts about how we grew up and how we view media. And now it's just a staple of the genre, and they're still doing it. It's wild.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that I feel like it really made its own path in the horror genre, and it has its fans. A lot of people who like horror like Scream.
Yeah.
I do think that for a lot of regular people, they can get confused about Scream and Scary Movie being the same movie.
100%.
Because the first Scary Movie was just Scream, but funny. And so I think that confuses a lot of people. And when they think back on it, they remember Scary Movie more than they remember Scream.
Because it's the ridiculous moments of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Scary Movie. What's up? It was the time of the what's up, and Ghostface's was upping. Crazy. You know what? I kind of want to watch Scary Movie now. It's been so long.
I'm sure it doesn't hold up. That's what I'll tell you. Comedy at that time does not hold up. Usually.
It was very homophobic. I remember that. But yeah, so there's so much to talk about, and I want to get to Scream 6 as quick as we can, but I just have to talk about these other movies because I've just watched them all. Scream 1 came out in 96 and then 97, and then a couple years later was Scream 3, but then it was 11 years for Scream 4, and then 11 more years for Scream 5, which is just crazy. But the meta aspects of these movies, right, really hit home for me, because I have been kind of a viewer on the horror genre from a side because of you and because of Joseph. I very rarely growing up sought out horror, but I watched a good chunk because of you guys. So seeing a movie that was self-aware felt right in my wheelhouse. I love meta commentary. I love pseudo intellectual, oh, let's take the shit out of this and let's put this and find out why we're doing this, and and the movies do that. I will say, though, there are parts of them that I'm just wow, I did not like that.
Okay.
There are things that I did not like.
Give us I know in our own private chat, you were kind of talking about what your favorite parts were of each movie, but give us overall, what are some of the highlights and lowlights?
Perfect. Scream 1, almost a perfect film. Almost a perfect film. It holds up. It's scary. It's tension. It feels reminiscent of Halloween, the first.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Carpenter, in terms of not in copying it, though there are some similarities in the tension building, in the quick pace, in the like, we're getting to the point. This is a crafted story from beginning to end that feels complete, cohesive, and I love it. Scream 2, trash. Dog water, trash. Hated it. Hate Scream 2.
Yeah.
And some people like Scream 1 better than Scream 2. But all I saw when I saw Scream 2 was Scream in college. That's not good.
That is
You can't just
is.
make the same movie and put it in college and hope for the best. It was so bad. It was so dumb. I hated it. I hated Scream 2. It didn't have any. Give me one. Tell me, Marcus. Tell me one kill from Scream 2. Tell me one character other than
Someone
our
got
main
stabbed.
3 people. I can't with you.
You just
I can't
got
with you at
dunked
all.
on. You just
can't with you.
got dunked on,
I
baby.
can't with you.
Woo!
You can't name a character. You can't name a memorable
Chelsea.
moment. Who's Chelsea?
I don't know. It's a white lady name.
And I will say that I felt pretty dumb because the girl that is, spoilers for another horror film, Urban Legend, the girl that is the killer in Urban Legend is in this film. And I confused the two films and I saw, I've seen this
that's
film.
hard.
And I waited the
Yeah.
whole film for her to be the killer, and it wasn't her. And I was like, this movie is stupid.
Yeah. But this is the one with
Urban Legend's better.
But this is the one with the great intro, right? In the movie theater?
You like that intro?
A lot of people like that intro.
I
Like, it
know a
is
lot of people like
one
it.
of the most iconic openings of a
I
horror
know.
movie.
I hate it.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was cool. At the time, especially, it was cool.
It felt so, it feels so reductive. I understand why it was there. I understand what it was trying to say, but like, to take a movie that didn't have any black people and then to put two famous black people at the beginning of your movie and then killing them right off. I understand as a commentary about the black theater goer and about black people dying in movies, but it felt, I didn't like it. And I didn't like it because they also were just like mean. They were just like mean people. They were mean to each other. They were mean about dating. I was like, this is just a bad relationship. All I'm watching are two people that shouldn't be in a relationship. And that's all I can focus on for the first 15 minutes of Scream 2. And then they die. And then they end up not being important at all. And I'm like, I hate Scream 2. You know what? Screw it.
That's what happened in Scream 1.
No, screw it.
They have Drew Barrymore in the opening, and then she dies immediately. And it's kind
Iconic,
of like
great.
a misdirect. It's the
Great.
same shit. You have Jada Pinkett Smith,
But it worked.
high, paid actress. You have what's the guy's name? Omar Epps.
Yeah, Omar Epps.
Like these very talented, very good people coming in hot, and then they kill him off again.
It's bad.
No, it's okay that you
reductive.
didn't like it, but I'm just saying it is an iconic scene that a lot of people
Marcus,
enjoy.
It is so Scream is famous for its opening scenes, right? Scream 2 is revered as one of the best. I know I'm wrong in terms of popular opinion, but I hated it. And that's how the movie started. And then we were just in college. We were dealing with sororities and fraternities, but like nothing was iconic. And then there was like that scene where they were just like out in a park and like they were just like looking around with like binoculars. And I was like, this is stupid. And then and then they have to be two killers because there are two killers in these movies. And the one killer, the first one we find out, is stupid. He's just like a film nerd.
Yeah.
Who's there for no reason. And then the second killer is the first killer's mom from the first movie. And I'm like, where is the grand introduction? Where is the like trumpets blaring that it's like the mom? It's the Mrs. Voorhees of it all. It was bad. I hated it.
That's understandable. I don't want to defend it because I don't remember it. So
now moving on to Scream 3, which everyone thinks is the worst one, which
you loved.
Like, I think the third or fourth best now. It is like high mid tier for me, where Scream 3 was the one where they were on the set of Stab 3 for the whole movie. They were in Hollywood.
But which at the time I feel like a couple movies were doing, because I think Bride of Chucky and one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets maybe or something.
Oh, a new Nightmare.
That one, yes.
I like that movie.
I liked it too.
Wow. Marcus, A New Nightmare came out before Scream 1, 94. Wow.
So
Ahead of its time.
So this was just a New Nightmare again. By
No,
the
but a
same
New Nightmare
person.
was a New Nightmare was different because that had like them making the movie is what made it real. Because man, that
Isn't that
movie's
what just
trippy. When you
happened
go
here?
back,
Making the
no, this
movie is what made the murders happen.
no, that was supernatural though. Like it was
I
like
know,
believing
but who
in Freddy
cares?
is.
Whether it's not supernatural or not.
Oh, I do.
Right? Making the movie
Hugely.
made the murders happen.
Oh man,
It's very similar.
think. Sure, I think some. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I always put them in different camps though, because supernatural horror movies and non-supernatural movies feel like so different to me. You know, I love a good non-supernatural. I like a supernatural horror movie. Like it's cool with demons and crazy shit. But when you can make a horror movie that feels like it could be real, that really gets me going.
I get that.
I mean, Saw
get
are
that.
some of my favorite because I'm like, this is scary. This could happen.
Yeah.
Someone could tie me to a bear trap and put me in a basement.
That's true.
That could happen.
Is that an invite for our fans?
No one knows where I live. Don't dox me. So, but I like Scream 3. I liked the meta aspect. I liked the movie. I like being in Hollywood. The only thing that was a little silly was the final reveal. And there's only one killer, which I appreciated because it was different. But the final killer was Sidney's long lost brother. And my biggest problem with it is it never came up again.
I know. That is a weird one because I feel like the only time they reference it is in Scream 6 when they're like talking about all the killers on the board and they point him out and it's like, oh, he's the only one who's went at it alone.
But not even mentioning, and it was Sidney's brother.
Exactly. Not even mentioning any of that stuff.
I think they wanted to forget about it.
Yeah.
Is what it is. But I appreciate it. I thought it was different. I just thought that, I mean, they had to try to one up themselves. I think the genius of 5 is them realize they couldn't one up themselves anymore. But then we have Scream 4 with Emma Roberts, Hayden Panettiere. The more time
did
passes,
not like this one.
The more time passes, the more I like it. You should revisit it because I think up until the final reveal, the movie feels like just a remake of all the other ones because they're even making the joke. It's a requel where it's a sequel, but a reboot. And they're like making that joke. And I was like, yeah, but you don't know what you are. So like that joke doesn't work. Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, maybe I like Scream 4, but I don't like Scream 5. Maybe that's what it is.
Once we get going, Hayden Panettiere making out with the nerdy film guy, and then she's not sure whether the nerdy film guy is a killer or not. That's some good shit.
Yeah.
And then finding out that he is, and then finding out spoilers for all the Scream films. Then you find out Sidney's cousin is doing all this because she is annoyed not being recognized and her beating herself up and like doing and like almost being successful.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that one was pretty good. I liked them coming back at it with like new information, acknowledging horror, like doing all the good Scream bits again. Emma Roberts kind of like, I don't like her.
I didn't love her either. I thought she could have done a better job in the movie, but I didn't think it was bad.
I think she's like a Hallmark level actress that kind of somehow made her way into mainstream movies.
Yeah, she's back down to Hallmark. I watched a Hallmark-ish movie on Amazon this past Christmas. I liked it a lot. It was perfect for what it was
she was in, right?
Yeah.
But I don't like Emma Roberts, but I did enjoy that one. And then 5, I remember not really liking. It was fine, but I think the ending kind of wasn't my favorite.
I loved 5.
Okay.
And 5 was the first one by our boys that made Ready or Not.
Got it. What about 5 resonated with you?
I thought in 4 where they tried to bring new people in, maybe at the time it felt better, but it felt dated. Our supporting cast didn't feel up to snuff in 4. When there's a reason, almost none of them come back, right?
Yeah.
In 5, I thought the supporting cast actually felt like the first movie where it was like, okay, I actually think some of these people are interesting. They have character. They have personality. Like I'm kind of invested whether or not like the 2 sister thing. I like the 2 sisters. I like Jenna Ortega. I like Melissa Barrera. I love seeing me some Latina queens in my movies, and it wasn't a part of the movie. They just happen to be, which I love. That's what we need. That's how you do representation. This is how to do it. I loved that it felt like they were honoring the past without being.
Yeah.
It felt like
Yeah, you're
the
right.
original. It felt like the 2018 Halloween in that way, where when they brought back Jamie Lee Curtis, it was like, okay, this movie is trying to do more, but honoring Jamie Lee Curtis. Like
Mhm.
the way David Arquette left, the way Sidney and Gale came back, I thought was good. I thought was interesting. I liked the deaths. I thought that scene where Jenna Ortega is in the hospital pushing her wheelchair, even though
Yeah.
she's in so
Yeah.
much pain,
Yeah.
just feels so good. And the ending, stupid, but it totally got me. Like I've been saying this whole time, they've been trying to one up each other for the kills, right? They've been trying to one up each
Yeah.
other. I'm sorry, I'm talking so much because I just watched these movies. I want you to tell me everything about Scream 6 once I'm done. But they've been heightening and heightening and heightening, and then they get to Scream 5 and they realize they can't heighten anymore. Sidney's long lost brother, Sidney's cousin trying to be the next murderer. For this one, it seemed like they were trying to one up each other because you found out Sam, the main girl, is the son of Billy Loomis, and she's got like this murderous instinct. But all the murders happened because of some Redditors.
Yeah.
It just felt real. It felt earned because it was an A to C in a cool way.
Mhm.
I didn't expect it coming, and I really love that Quaid kid. What's his name?
Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid. Jack Quaid is great. I really
I liked him a lot.
loved him in Scream 5.
I think what fell apart for me is that
Yeah.
I didn't think he was a good like villain. Like I thought he was a great like boyfriend, but when the turn happened and it was like, okay, time for him to be a villain, I was like, eh. And also the person who played his girlfriend, who was that?
That wasn't great. It was a random person. I don't know her name.
Wasn't she like somebody? Scream. Let me look up Scream
You're
5.
somebody.
Was Scream 5 just called Scream?
Yeah, Scream 20. They did the Halloween thing. Mickey Madison. She was in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
No, I don't know her then. I thought I knew
Yeah,
her.
she's-
Okay. For some reason, I keep thinking she was Emma Roberts.
Oh, no. This is another person. Though I think she's I feel like she's no, I don't know who she is. Yeah, she's just a random
But
person.
in Scream 5, this is also when they try to introduce the new crew.
Yeah.
And I think that Scream 6 continues with that. And it seems like we're going to get a new trilogy at least with this new crew. And I
think
like
so.
that they're leaning away from the legendary characters because you have the sort of like, you know, like this movie, this franchise has a history now to it. And with that, you want to respect the history, but you also want to not be so beholden to it all the time.
Yeah.
And I like that they're really trying to just have a new group of people. And yeah, they're going to bring in the legacy characters, but also they can kill off the legacy characters, which is fun. Right? Like David Arquette dies in 5.
It felt earned to me. It
Yeah.
felt right. It felt okay. You know, I mean, that was why one of the many reasons why the Halloween reboot fell apart. Not reboot,
Yes.
the modern trilogy,
Yeah.
because it felt so reverent to the old that they couldn't do anything new. But then when they tried to do something new, they went so left field that it didn't feel like it was honoring Michael.
I feel like
you know,
with the new Halloween trilogy, you know, my opinion of it was essentially like the first one was great. They did
Loved it.
something cool and they like really established we're going to do this with it. We're going to do this with this. We're going to do this with it. And they succeeded. The second one said, we never made that first movie. That's a lie. You can't tell us we made that first movie. Fuck you. Actually, we're going to remake another old Halloween movie, do the same
the bad
mob
ones.
thing, do all the bad. Yeah. Basically recreate the movie shot for shot, make it bad. Undo the fact that we said Jason's a human. Jason's going to be like killable. Like undo that. He's a monster again, a supernatural killer. And then part 3 was like, I don't know. What do we do from here?
we can do a cult. No, we already did that.
Yeah.
Let's just have a little emo boy.
Yeah,
be the
they
new
have
Michael.
this whole thing where like Michael Myers is like going to pass on the mantle, which they did before.
They did.
Check out our episode on Halloween Halloween Ends
Was the last
with
one, yeah.
special guest Dan Drambles. Great episode.
Totally agree. And I think that's why Scream is so funny, right? Scream is such a funny franchise because the killer's always different, right?
Yeah.
And since it's self-referential and a little meta, they get away with it. That wouldn't work all the time. That we would be like wanting the original killer back, right? We would be wanting that so hard. But since this is like self-referential and like about a movie about movies, it feels earned that
Yeah.
it's always different, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if it was like a weird twist where one of the old killers came back, but they killed them all.
Marcus, no. Marcus, you are so Marcus. Okay. Cards on the table. I loved Scream 6. I came out of the theater 9 out of 10. All the reviews come in way lower. I'm still at a 9 out of 10. Loved it. Even when it got ridiculous at the end, which we'll talk about, still loved it. I will never forgive Scream 6 for not bringing back Matthew Lillard. It was the perfect opportunity. It was the perfect time. He would have been the perfect film. The Scream mask did the Halloween thing where it was all like decaying and stuff like that. It's because it was Matthew Lillard.
It would have been a
TV
great
on his
commentary.
Head. He could have survived.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I feel like, and they did. Oh,
bringing back Matthew Lillard as the killer for this film, I think would have been great, because there was a couple moments where it was in question, like, did he come back? Is he alive? You know?
Yeah, they like stayed on the TV a little too long. They were talking about all the old killers.
Yeah, and Matthew Lillard is having a moment. Okay, he hasn't like been canceled. He seems like a good, chill dude. He's very
Everyone
happy.
loves him.
Everyone loves him. I love to see him come back. He would have been perfect, especially with like this killer is going through all of the history of the Scream franchise one at a time. Why? Unless it was Matthew Lillard, that would have been
because he's proud of
amazing.
the thing he made.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, he's proud of the thing he made. He's like, look, I am the one of the originals, and you are all besmirching my name.
No, well, even more so. I think it would have worked well because we find out Sam is Billy Loomis's daughter. I think he's pushing her to be them, right?
Yes. Join me in the dark side. Yes. Yeah. That would have been great, which is what the whole movie is about.
It was. That's what the whole movie was about.
Yeah.
And then the villain was fine, but it wasn't Matthew Lillard.
It wasn't Matthew Lillard. I hated the villain. So now,
actually, I didn't like the villain. I
was at a 9 with you.
I liked the cops. I didn't like the kids.
The whole movie, I was at a 9 with you.
Yeah.
Then the ending started happening and it got lower and lower.
I saw you being like, oh.
I think when I left the movie, I gave it, like I said, between a 7 and 8, 7.5 is kind of where I landed on. I'm still at 7.5.
That's fair.
I haven't like read any reviews or anything like that, but I did see the Rotten Tomatoes score. So it seems like
70,
critics also kind of say 7.5 also.
77%, 91 audience score. So I'm in line with audiences.
That's fair.
But Marcus, I want to give you the floor and have you go through the sequence of what Scream 6 is to bring up great conversation. But before that, I have a really quick question for you.
Okay.
Do you like scary movies?
Oh, no. Yes.
Well, let's find out what you think of other people liking scary movies in our game. Roll the clip.
Now try this trivia. Now try this trivia. Now trivia. Now trivia. Now trivia this.
And we're back.
Marcus, I have scoured the internet.
Oh, you scoured the internet? All of it?
As in, I went through 2 pages of Google searches, 2 pages, trying to look for a comprehensive list on America's favorite horror movies. And the closest I've come to a comprehensive list was a YouGov poll. Now, if you don't know what YouGov does, they do lots of polls over long periods of time. And this is how they decided what the top horror movies would be. Okay? Follow me here.
Top horror movies okay, you're going to tell me.
They asked all Americans what were horror movies. They compiled those lists. Then they shot those out and said what the best ones. Then they compiled that down to 35 and sent that one out, asking which ones were the most watched and which ones were the most liked. Now, this game, you have to name me in order the top 10 horror movies according to Americans. Now, there's a lot of going to be disagreeing about what is on this list, what isn't on the list, what should be on the list.
Okay.
But I wanted you to know where the list came from to better influence you. They took all horror movies, brought it down to 35, and then asked Americans about those 35 films. Now, there's 2 ways we can do this top 10. Because YouGov polls You can love it, like it, not sure, dislike it, hate it.
Okay.
We can do the top 10 of just love it, or we can do the top 10 aggregate of love it and like it.
Let's do top 10 of the love it and
You
like
should do
it.
love it.
Oh,
You should
okay.
do
Just
love
love it. Let's just love it.
You should, because yeah, you just should.
Okay, let's do that one.
I think it's the better list. Okay. I have here the top 10 most loved horror movies by this YouGov poll in America. We'll start at number 10. We'll go up to number 1. Every one that you get, you will get a point.
Okay.
That's it. That's the game.
Okay. So we're starting with number 10.
Mostly, I'm just going to try to get you riled about what's on and not on this list.
Okay.
Yes.
Number 10 of the most liked movies by a certain group of people, because I wasn't asked. So
Americans.
it's not
You could have done
comprehensive.
you could have done a YouGov poll. And you know what? Here, let me give you a little bit of clues. Let me tell you that the 10 out of those 35,
Mhm.
the 5 that did the worst.
And this is all horror movies ever made. Okay.
Well, it might be American horror movies. I don't
Okay.
see anything that's not American on this list.
Is the
But-
Cube on there?
No. So out of these 35 movies, the movie that did the worst, with 44% either hating or disliking it, was the Blair Witch Project. Now, mind you, it got to the top 35 already.
Okay, so it's
It's just
top.
on
It's
this 35.
35th. Okay.
Yeah, 35th. 34th, The Ring.
Okay, it's not a bad list.
33, Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
32,
Pet Cemetery.
that's 29.
Damn.
32, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
What?
32. That's top 30. It's top 30.
I mean, below Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, Pet Cemetery is good.
Okay. Okay. Top 10 movies.
Now, I won't give you any more clues. Give me the number 10 liked movie from America.
Here's my thing. If 35 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Rosemary's Baby, like great movies.
Yeah.
But not super like digestible for public consumption. They're not like the Avatar of horror movies.
Totally.
Right? So I think top
Totally.
10 is gonna be full of like the Avatar of horror movies. So I'm
Sure.
thinking like Jaws is somewhere in there. Maybe even Jurassic Park if they're being like
No, Jurassic Park is not a horror movie.
great.
according to this list.
Cool. Some
I'll give that
people
to you.
consider it a horror movie even though it's not.
Sure. No, I would say everyone on here is a horror movie.
Okay. The Shining is gonna have to be on there somewhere because I think even though it was hated at the time, a lot of people have come around to it now. A lot of people
It's
like
true.
it. But number 10 of all horror movies made in America, it's hard. I want to say Psycho.
Psycho would have made the top 10s if we were including liked. But if
Ah,
we're just talking about the top 10 loved, it did not make the top 10.
Okay, that's
It made
a bad list then.
the Psycho. Where's Psycho? Psycho is 27 loved it, 50 liked it, 8 were not sure, 9 disliked it, 6
Hey,
hated
we're
it.
not sure. Okay, did they only
It would've been
ask 35 people? Like, what is this poll?
All right. Well, no. Number 10 is. Do you want just one guess so the game goes quick?
Yeah.
Number 10 is Halloween.
Okay,
It deserve its spot on the top 10.
sure. Number
We all
9
agree.
is
The maker of modern horror slasher movies.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th is number 32.
Damn.
Oh,
Okay.
maybe I should have told you this. They told people with franchises and sequels to include all of them
That's what I
in
assumed.
that one
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Well, that's important information.
Okay. What is number 9 then? If it is
Number
not?
9 is Alien.
Okay.
Alien's a horror movie.
Yeah.
A lot of people
No,
agree.
it is for sure.
Yeah. Oh, you just don't think it serves a spot on the top 10?
I don't think. I mean, it should be higher than 9 if it's going to be in the top 10.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Okay.
All right, number 8, top 10 most loved horror movies.
This is hard. I'm trying to I'm not trying to just answer what I think the top 10 are. I'm just trying to answer what I think people think are the top 10. It is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
If 10 is
Halloween
Halloween,
and 9 is
9
Alien.
is Alien, then it's going to be something like 80s iconic horror movie because I'm assuming that's demographic that they asked, or maybe 90s if people, continued. So you got that, you got Alien. It's not Friday the 13th. I want to say Nightmare on Elm Street.
Not on the top 10.
Oh my god.
Nightmare on Elm Street is down on like 18 or something.
Okay.
Number 8 is Jaws.
I knew it was in there. I wasn't gonna keep guessing Jaws each time.
I've never seen Jaws.
Yeah.
That's all I had to say about it. I've never seen Jaws.
I saw Jaws as a child, and I've gone on the Jaws ride. And when you go on those rides that it's like, what, I saw the movie. Like you go on the Jurassic Park ride, it's just like watching the movie. You go on the Lazy River ride, it's just like watching the movie.
All right, cool. And just so you know, 28% Halloween, 28% Alien, 29% Jaws were of percent of people said they loved the movie with those 5 questions. Loved, like, not sure, hated.
8
disliked.
is going to
Jaws.
be
8 was Jaws.
7 is going to be
I haven't seen a lot of
not E.T.
No.
Not Freddy Krueger, not Jason, not Halloween,
Nope.
not Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Chucky?
That's not even on the list.
Oh my god.
It didn't even make
Child's
it
Play?
did. It did. It's 27, 26.
Oh my god. Okay. What is it?
This is The Hills Have Eyes.
That movie sucks ass. Okay. Jesus.
Well, I've
It's a
never seen it.
fine movie. It's just not
Sure.
top 10 horror movies ever made.
I mean, 1977. It's a classic, right?
It's all these old movies. I mean, it's fine. I like old horror movies, but like, not The Hills Have
Number
Eyes.
6. That was 30%. This is also 30%. 30% of people said they loved it. Number 6. You're gonna be mad about this one.
The Shining.
You're gonna be very upset. No.
Oh, I
I'll give
thought
you
I was
another
gonna be
try.
upset because it's not number 1. Okay. That's my guess.
No, you get one more guess.
Okay. Is it Scream?
Scream is 24.
Or they asked a bunch of old people. Is it Birds?
No.
Is it Vertigo? Some
No,
dumb Alfred
it is,
Hitchcock
it
shit?
is. Are you ready for this?
What?
It is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. See, the way it is people either loved it or they hated it. So it's really high in both. Not a lot of people liked it.
No.
Sorry. That's the
not how
only time this
works.
happened. That's the
not how
only
lists
time it happened.
work.
It is how lists work, actually.
It's how this dumb list works.
Just so you know, number 10 was The Purge if you combine loved and liked. So
Okay.
that's why we did loved.
Okay.
So.
Got it.
All right, number 5. I'll give you a hint. You have said the name of this film already.
Birds.
Yes, The Birds.
Yeah, I'm happy with 1. I'm
Also
having to
have
guess
never seen
of
it.
all horror movies ever created, and not even like Rotten Tomato score or something like that. It's just like objectively a group of people.
Listen, I looked at IMDb. I looked at Rotten Tomatoes.
it's fine.
It was just it was even more random than this. You know what I mean?
It's just so funny. Like it is a hard thing, and I'm happy I
Yeah.
got 1.
It is hard. It is super hard. I looked at lists from like Thrillist and
Mhm.
Rolling Stone. They were just random. It was just a random writer deciding what it was.
Yeah.
This is the only one that was like quantitative in any way,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Again, on the first 2 pages of Google searches. Okay, so number 4 is a movie we have not mentioned once yet. A little more new, a little newer.
So, is it Hereditary?
Hereditary is not on the list.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say that doesn't count as guess then, because this all seems
No, it
like
doesn't.
older stuff.
It's oldish. It's not old. It's not 80s or 70s.
This movie,
It's modern. It's a modern movie.
90s.
It's a modern franchise.
Okay, so it's not Scream though, because we said Scream.
You're gonna say,
Saw?
oh no, Saw did not make the top 10.
Okay.
Saw is like 28 or something.
That's high for Saw.
No, Saw's wonderful. This is The Conjuring. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's very popular mainstream things.
Okay.
Number 3 is a movie we will spend the least amount of time talking about.
Number 3 is
Yeah.
going to be. You said The Shining wasn't on the list.
I did not say that.
Okay, The Shining.
No, the movie that is number 3 on the spot is It, and that is all we have to say
Okay.
about it.
Number two, The Shining.
It is The Shining.
Yeah.
Number 2 is The Shining. Mhm.
Okay, I knew it wasn't gonna be number 1 because
Yeah.
this list sucks ass. I got 2 right. I got 2 right.
Unless you can get the number one movie. 35% of people said they loved it.
Of these
45
strangers that were asked.
45 yes, 45% of people said they liked it. If we did loved and liked, this would be number 2. Number 1 would be The Birds. So, you know. Number 3 would have been Resident Evil if we went with that list.
Okay.
Because 52% liked it.
Okay,
So
got it. So it's not
I'll send you
Resident
this article.
Evil.
It's very interesting.
Give me like can you give me like a decade range?
80s. I'll give you one more hint.
Okay.
This movie was when the YouGov did this promotion, this poll. They did this for lots of movies. This is the only movie to rank on the top of multiple genres.
Multiple genres? Okay, it's not Jurassic Park. Is it Beetlejuice? No, you say 80s. Multiple genres is confusing me.
Oh no, I read it wrong. Ignore what I said. It's a horror movie. I think it's a horror movie.
Okay, and it's not Beetlejuice, I'm assuming. So
no, that's not a horror movie.
The Thing.
Didn't make the list.
Okay.
Here, I will give you all the other movies. Blair Witch Project, The Ring, Rosemary's Baby. This is from bottom to top.
Okay.
Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw, Exorcist, Amityville Horror, Child's Play, Saw, Hills Have Eyes, Paranormal Activity, Scream, Pet Cemetery, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Shining, It, Hellraiser, Get Out, Annabelle, Alien, Dracula, Frankenstein, Poltergeist, Carrie, The Purge, Us, The Conjuring, Psycho, Final Destination, Jaws, Jeepers Creepers. Did really good. Resident Evil, and then this film.
Jeepers Creepers is that high on the list?
Well, it was only 25% said they loved it, but 54% they liked it. Listen, I
That's
would have said liked it. I like that film.
That's insane.
It's our boy Justin Long, horror king.
Okay, you said it's not Thing and it's not Beetlejuice. It's not Cujo. I'm assuming it's not Pet Cemetery. I'm assuming.
Oh, I lied. It's not the 80s. It's the 90s. It's just early 90s.
Okay,
My bad.
that's okay.
I said I'm sorry.
You should be. You know what? I don't accept.
Don't make me
this.
cry.
Silence
make
of the
me cry.
Lambs.
Are you looking at a list of movies?
I'm looking at a list. I'm looking at the exact list you're looking at. I found it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not.
It is Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs.
What do you think of that as a number 1?
That's okay. It's not The Shining. The Shining should be number 1, but
The fact that it's
Silence
number 2 on
Lambs
a
is
list
pretty
like
good.
this is the fact that it's number 2 on a list like this is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, The Birds, Resident Evil, Jeepers Creepers, those are
I know.
weird picks.
I know. Yeah, but
Weird
they
picks.
managed to look past their own bad taste enough to pick a
Silence
good
of the
movie.
Lambs and The Shining.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Marcus, I will not revoke your horror card because you did
Yes.
okay finding out people's
Yes.
scary movies, but you have some work to do.
I don't.
Connecting to the public.
Yeah, apparently
You do.
my work is connecting to the public, asking strangers on the street what their favorite movies are and not scaring them.
So, Marcus, I think it's finally time to just talk about Scream 6. Go for it.
Oh my God. It's been like 5 hours. Scream 6. We did a little introduction. We've been talking about the movie a little bit, but basically we meet back up with our gang in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Jason Takes Manhattan style.
Jason Takes Manhattan. They totally understand it's the like take your monster and put them in a new area kind of thing that they're going for. They have Jason Takes Manhattan playing on the screen at certain points in the film. Like they are aware of what this looks like. And they do it. They play on certain tropes of the city that they're like, oh, well, look, we're in New York City, yada, yada, yada. And then they're on a train, which is, you know, a city thing. What other city things did they do? They walked
bodega.
outside. They went to the bodega. They did like 3 New York City things.
I
went to
will
Central
agree
Park.
with you. There could have been more New York.
Look,
I think maybe it was a COVID thing, but there should have been more New York in here.
if
I
we're
agree with that.
thinking like New York City, there's a killer going around. Train, yes, you got it. There's a killer on the train.
Mhm.
He manages to kill people. Yes, if you've ever been on a New York City subway, you understand that it's a lot. And you could probably imagine someone getting murdered and like not much happening.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, because it's like I think it would have been funnier, not funnier, but more realistic if Ghostface killed someone on the train and they're like, ah, shit, I'm gonna be late again, kind of thing. You know, like someone got really mad about having to be late to work because of the stabbing. That seems more New York than anything else.
I don't know why and this is one of the reasons why it's 9 out of 10, not a 10 out of 10, because I don't think it added anything. Why was it filmed around Halloween?
I don't know. I think just so they can decorate more with horror things.
And so there could be other people in masks on the train for that one scene.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. And it was fun. Honestly, I like seeing all the like references to other horror movies. Like there were a lot of costumes that people are not dressing up as that were just put in there because of.
Yeah, I like that. I just think if it was Halloween, there should have been more Halloween. That's all. Like that was the only indicator was Halloween, and it bothered me. I was like, it's Halloween.
Yeah.
In New York and Halloween, there's a lot going on. Like where is everybody?
It's funny because I'm thinking about like, okay, if we're filming a movie in New York City, what are some like quintessential New York City things that you could include? I grew up here and I can't think of any other than being like, hey, you know, you gotta go to Joey Baloney's in the corner on 43rd Street and have him stab somebody while eating a pizza, New York style pizza.
Well, there's Times Square, there's a Broadway show, right? Backstage at a Broadway show or something. There's the Empire State Building on top. There's the Chrysler Building. There's touristy things like that. Statue of Liberty.
The ferry.
The ferry.
Murdered on the ferry.
Again, let me give you an example of a movie that did it perfect, and you knew exactly where you were the whole entire time. Die Hard 3.
Oh, you're right.
That was a perfect New York movie.
You're right. I feel like that's the thing about like New York movies. It's like it's not that they need to be doing more New York City things, right? Because like
no.
If they're living there, they're not going to Times Square. If they're living there, they're not going to the Empire State Building. Like they're not going to these places because when you live here, you don't go to those things, but you do take the subway, which they did include. But when you're filming a movie in New York City and you're watching a movie and you are from New York City, you were watching it and you see the places that you go to. Like a lot of times when a movie's filmed in the Bronx, I'm like, oh, I know that place. I know that location. Made in Manhattan. There was like the opening shot. It's like, I know exactly what block that is on.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see. And I feel like this movie, it wasn't filmed in New York City, right?
I don't think so.
It doesn't seem like it was filmed in New York City, even though the movie is about New York City, which is alarming.
I agree with you.
That doesn't take off any points for me, though. The only thing that took off points for me was the ending.
There's not points. It was just like missed opportunity. That's all.
Yeah.
You know, we're nitpicking now. But talk about the opening. This opening was wild. Oh,
the opening
filming
was
in Montreal, Canada.
Yep. So there you go. The opening was incredible. I feel like it was probably the strongest opening of any Scream movie for me.
I mean, the first is iconic, but it was really good.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
I feel like basically the way it opens up, you get not Margot Robbie. What's her name?
Oh, Samara Weaving.
Samara Weaving. She shows up. She's being stood up. She's supposed to be on a date. He's not there. The caller calls, and you know, because you've watched Scream movies before. This is the sixth Scream movie. If it's your first Scream movie at this point, like you're doing something wrong. So you know, she starts to walk outside. You're like, oh, come on. But then if the feeling starts to creep in, is this a misdirect? Is something weird going to happen? Because you know it's Scream. So she's walking outside. She goes into an alley, and you're like, come on, you goddamn idiot.
And the misdirect was that it wasn't a misdirect.
Also, New York City doesn't have a lot of alleys.
Not like that. No,
not like
really.
that. Not like Crime Alley where Batman's parents got shot. It doesn't.
I was
have
gonna
stuff
say
like
it
that.
looked like Gotham. I was gonna say it felt like Gotham.
Yeah, the New York City in this movie looked like.
And
Gotham.
I know where they were in the Hudson Yards. There's not like alleys like that.
No, it was weird.
Not really.
But anyway, she walks down an alley, cobblestone too, which you don't really see. There's no cobblestone in New York City.
There's a little bit over down Hudson Yards area.
A little bit, but it's like
because it was different. It was wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, so she's walking down. She gets murdered. Right.
I want us to get roasted and someone take a picture of that exact alley in New York and be like, it's literally right here. That dumpster's right there.
Like I haven't walked every block of New York City, but it didn't seem.
New York is too
City.
dangerous to have real alleys. That's what it is. They're all
they're closed
off.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she gets stabbed.
And you're like, oh shit, that's fucking.
It wasn't
nuts.
a misdirect. She dies.
Then you watch the killer unmask, take off his whole thing. You see who the killer is immediately. And I was like, oh shit. Are we going to start off with like knowing who the killer is? That is fun. That's exciting. That's new. And then you watch him go through, you hear him talk. He's talking
his
to
friend
a
or
roommate.
boyfriend on the phone. I can't, whatever. And it's about how they're doing the thing. They're more Redditors, right?
Exactly. Yeah. They're doing the Redditor thing again. They're film critics, angry film nerds, or whatever.
Yeah.
They're killing their film teacher. But then he's realized that he's not talking to his friend, that he's talking to Ghostface.
Yeah.
And so then we watched him go through the motions of
being the girl on the phone.
in the beginning of the movie. And then he opens up the fridge, he finds his friend murdered, and then he gets murdered. And then
honestly,
credits.
Iconic. I loved it.
I loved it. I thought it was like a very, very, very strong opening for a film.
But Marcus, makes no sense with who ends up being the killers of
Makes
why
no
that ended up
sense.
being. But I tell you what, Marcus, if it was Matthew Lillard, would have made perfect sense.
Yes.
Because he don't want no copycats.
Yes. Oh my God, Matthew Lillard makes so much sense. You're right. I think that's the same thing. That's like the beginning is perfect, except it goes down half a point knowing the ending.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
once you know the ending, the beginning is not good anymore.
Yeah. Agreed. But it's still great. It's still super dynamic. It's
great.
film. Listen, I understand if maybe you don't like these directors like sensibility, or maybe you don't like what the Scream movies are turning into. I think everything is filmed great. Like it feels tension wise, filming wise. It feels like the shots are good and in the right place.
Yeah.
And it draws tension. It's no Barbarian. Barbarian was like perfect case study of how to make tension with just cinematography.
Yeah.
But this was no slouch. I didn't find any moments that were filmed badly.
No, not at all.
Maybe that's more to the cinematographer, but like this movie is well made. It is
It's well shot. It's well directed. Yeah. There's no complaints on sort of like the filming aspects of it. It's like they know how to make a movie, which is a difficult thing. And a lot of times we take for granted, because I couldn't make a movie that just
making good action is hard.
No,
this movie Scream movies are funny because they are almost comedies and almost action movies, but at their base is a horror movie. So you have to like tote this line. And I thought this movie did a great job.
The Scream franchise is a little silly because the guy is getting hit in the face with pots. He's falling down. Like there's a lot of like slapstick things that happen to Ghostface in every movie.
But then he gets up with a knife and it's scary.
But it still remains scary. So it is a fine line. You're right.
And then, where I think this movie really shines, if you can talk more about it for me, I think there are four action set pieces in the movie. 1 is Bodega, 2 is the apartment, 3 is the train, and 4 is at Gale Weathers' apartment.
Yeah.
And then the ending is like the 5th. But besides the ending, I thought, I could take or leave Gale. It was fine. I didn't care about Gale.
That was weird. I really didn't care about Gale.
They needed to do it because it's Gale.
They should have just killed her.
They should have killed her.
Yeah.
But the other 3, Bodega, apartment, train, loved them all. Thought they were all great.
I agree. I think the
action wise.
Yeah, I feel like you got a sense from this movie that this is a more violent, gory film. It felt like a lot of the kills you're watching, I don't want to say they made me feel uncomfortable, but they made me feel like, this is going to make people uncomfortable. Like not everyone's going to be 100% okay with this.
Well, and also Scream, Ghostface was kind of Debo in this movie. He was doing some shit. Like it wasn't like the problem with Michael Myers and he was turning into a demon or anything, but it wasn't like the first film when it was like a skinny, like lanky guy and you can kind of tell. Yeah, like it was just scary. This guy, when he picked up the shotgun in the bodega, when he was like pushing things over in that apartment building, like in that confined, that was really good. In New York, it felt like a confined apartment space as opposed to a big house like Ghostface usually is. Yeah. It was really scary because there was nowhere to run.
Yeah, it felt like the Terminator coming after you. Like it just was like he was kicking ass. He was like killing people, shooting them. Like he fought a guy with a gun and disarmed him, kicks ass. Like it was like, oh shit, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And I guess it makes sense because it probably was the cop for most of that.
Okay, so spoilers.
Well, and I'm just saying, like, he's trained, he's fit. That makes sense.
In theory, yes.
But my question is, does that mean the other two accomplices never did anything because they were both small and short and like
weak and frail?
Weak. Yeah. I don't know.
It's funny because you say that and it's like, yeah, I guess so. But like, if we're thinking about cops in general and their ability to like, he is what a cop thinks they are, you know, like I think most cops couldn't actually disarm someone with a shotgun like that.
Some could
with their hands.
Yeah. Well, I just say he had special ops training, and that's why he's kind of nuts too. It all makes sense, honestly, to me.
But I feel like you're filling in gaps.
You're right. But I buy that. But I get it.
Which is fine. But it is like we have not received any justification in the script for him to be able to kick that much ass. Now, if he removed his mask and it was Keanu Reeves, then we'd be talking. I'd be like, holy shit, that's scary.
Are there any holes in the movie? Like, are there any points where we see the cop, but we also see Ghostface besides the ending?
No, but they said that it was them two killing, you know?
They did, yeah.
So, but they were always like big and the cop was short. Like the cop was a short guy. So, and Ghostface was large. Whoever was the actor playing Ghostface was large. So I was like, is he on stilts every time he's Ghostface? Like, I don't understand that discrepancy in size either. That was weird.
Yeah. And the weird thing is I never found myself thinking about this or worrying about it in any other movie, even where Emma Roberts was killing some people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never thought about it that way because it made sense. The motive, the justification made sense to me. This one, I think the strongest thing about 5 is the fact that a freaking Reddit dude, Jack Quaid, Dennis Quaid, Jack Quaid, the Quaid kid had nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was so cool. And then to bring back his family, I was like, well, that's stupid. The thing that made that cool, when it was completely unconnected, it would never happen again.
Yeah.
It was its own thing. Because now if they turn this into a trilogy, it's not going to have more to do with the Redditors. That would be that would be bad.
That would be dumb. But it's the girl side of things, her family, and the next one that are the killers.
Oh my God. But the thing that would have made it all the best is if it was Matthew Lillard coming up and being Terminator and picking up a shot. I would have bought it.
Yeah.
I would have no questions.
It's funny because I feel like what sucks so hard is that you get Ghostface, who's this intimidating figure. He's kicking ass. He's so scary. And then the second the mask is off and it's like, we're the killers, and we get to the end of the movie, it goes away. Like he's not scary. The actor is not intimidating in any way. Like no offense to the actor, but like I didn't find them scary. I don't think they were doing a good job of being
he wasn't too bad, and I don't want to put anyone down, but the family was bad. The daughter and the son, they were bad.
They were worse.
In that part.
Yes, in that part. In the scary part.
It.
Yeah, they were fine in the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
but they had to just be regular college kids.
In fact, I would say they were actually pretty good in the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
I bought that he was just the random roommate. I bought that she was just the promiscuous roommate. Like, I got that. That was fine.
But when they were like, okay, now you're crazy, they were like not doing a good job of conveying that.
I appreciated that the cop was going for it. That guy, like,
he tried.
He's
a TV
in my
actor.
He's in my best friend's wedding. He's like handsome, heartthrob, and rom-com kind of thing.
Yeah.
He really tried to like go crazy, and I kind of liked his performance. It's just I hated why he was there.
And once the masks are off and we get to the part where the heroes are fighting against the villains, it gets very, very silly in a way that is like, it took me out of it immediately.
Yeah.
I think I
thought it was funny enough, but I get it.
One scene that sticks out a lot to me where, what's the main character's name?
It's the balcony. Sam
is on the balcony. And she's like, you know, they're struggling. There's all this stuff going on. And the cop comes and he has a gun in his hand. And he's like, I'm going to get you. And he runs towards her instead of just standing in the doorway and shooting at her or getting a little bit closer and shooting at her. He runs towards her, gun in hand, running like this, pointing the gun away from, not even running like
screaming,
this.
And screaming.
Like, ah! And they collide and fall off the balcony.
But he put his jaw to the left so you know he's crazy. Ah!
And then they like collide and fall off the balcony. It was like, that was the dumbest scene I've ever seen in a movie.
That one scene felt incongruent with all of the rest of the movie. Even when it was sillier after this or before this, that one scene, there must have been something behind the scenes. They ran out of time filming, scripts got lost, and no one they lost 3 pages from the script, so they had to do something in the moment. Like, something had to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I want to listen to the commentary for this film.
It was so bad. It was so jarring, and I absolutely hated that scene a lot. And the whole ending kind of felt goofy and sloppy. Like, I don't think this is the case, but the movie just feels like they didn't know who the killer was going to be at the end, and they made the rest of the movie and then they kind of just like ham-fisted it in. Or honestly, it feels perfect if it was Matthew Lillard and then that was the plan and then they changed it last minute or something. I don't know.
Matthew Lillard said in an interview, which is why I kind of thought he was in this. He said in an interview, when he was asked, I would love to come back for the Scream franchise. I'm sure there's a way to make that happen. So I thought he was being coy like Andrew Garfield for No Way Home, and he was coming back. That was my fault, though, setting up that expectation. Yeah, that's all right. But I agree. It felt similar to the Star Wars thing with they didn't know who Snoke was when they started, but then by the end they like killed him, and then it was Palpatine, right?
Yeah.
Because the Hayden Panettiere thing almost felt okay. That misdirect almost was there with Hayden, because Hayden was doing a good job, and I think everyone was happy to see her and like glad she's back to doing things, and we were all like, bring her in.
Yeah, I like her. She was fine in the movie. I think she did a good job.
They could have done a little more with her,
and I wouldn't mind if she comes back.
Agreed.
Yeah,
agreed. I think she can totally be a staple of that era of the Scream movies and stick around. Yeah, as one of the new legacy characters. But it was just such a disappointment to be connected to Jack Quaid.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if we've said it clearly, but at the end of the movie, you find out that like Jack Quaid's family are the killers, and I feel like I don't want to say that I guessed it, but when the sister was like, "Oh, my brother died," and we all like quickly cut off away, and then the guy was like, "My son died." We all were like, "Okay."
So it's the cop and the girl.
So like, it's you two. Up? Like what's happening?
And it's hard because once you get to this franchise, like this one's different because there's 3 killers. I was like, I didn't need the brother.
Exactly.
The brother just did not need to be there in the slightest. It could have been 2. It should have been 2.
It should have been 2.
But 3 just felt silly.
I
will say though, go ahead.
I like this franchise, and I did like this movie. Like a 7.5 for a horror movie for me is like great,
solid.
Well, I give a lot of 10s out to horror movies that maybe don't deserve 10s, but look, I really enjoyed it.
You don't like mainstream movies. 7.5 is high for a mainstream movie.
The end ruined it for me.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I think that if this franchise is going to survive, it needs to be more, right? Like, if you want to have more killers, why do 1 more? Do 10 killers. It's a group of people that all decided to get together, not necessarily a cult, but like,
I would hate that even more, but I understand your point.
You would hate it, but it would be the same thing they're trying to do, but bigger and more interesting. At least
there should be a take. There doesn't feel like there's a take.
Yes, there should be a take. It felt like safe. Okay, we'll do 1 more killer. That's never been done before. Okay, what are you gonna do? 1 more killer after that and just keep increasing by 1? Like something. Have Matthew Lillard be the killer. That's never been done before. Bringing back a killer. Like that's something interesting.
Yeah. 4 felt ballsy because they made the cousin the killer. 5 felt ballsy because they made random people the killer. To make the killer just connected to the last killer feels like 2 again for me.
Yeah.
Which is my least favorite in the franchise.
Yeah.
So that ending, I totally agree with you.
We also have this really interesting dynamic where Sam is struggling with whether or not she wants to be a killer. And that's really cool and interesting, but it feels half explored, right? Like, I feel like this whole movie was kind of like, they mentioned it, it wasn't not there, but it wasn't there in the way that I want to see explored. And then at the end of the movie, you got, okay, we're really talking about this. She's really but she's really confronting it. But in the next one, I want the whole movie to be about that. Like, I want the whole movie to be about her really looking at how many people she's murdered and what that means. Because I think something they don't address in this franchise is that yes, the murderers have murdered people, but if you count the people that the protagonists have murdered, it's way more than any of the individual killers.
Not way more, but I understand your point. Yeah.
I mean, how many people has Sidney Prescott murdered?
7?
Because each film has 2 killers, except one of them. So
Like
she's
7,
murdering 2 people per movie.
Yeah.
Not
she was in
to
this one.
not to count people she
That's
kind of
10.
got
9.
murdered by
That's-
just being alive and around them.
That's probably 9. Oh wow, yeah. Don't even. By proxy. A lot of those movies are her fault, straight up. Yep.
They're straight up her fault.
You shouldn't be her friend. I feel so bad for saying that, but you should not be her friend.
No. And so because of that, a lot of people got murdered, and I would count all of those as her murders, which is
well, you win.
pretty high in the body count.
Marcus, I'm so glad you brought it up because this was the next point I was going to make. I think that the dynamic of Billy Loomis being in Sam's head is so tropey. It's so overdone.
Yeah.
It's so bad. And yet somehow I really buy it in the last movie and this movie.
No,
For
I
some
agree.
reason, I don't know if it's like nice to see Billy. I don't know if they just do it enough to not overstay the welcome. I don't know if it's the acting. It's really cool that we're seeing the actual actor do it again.
Yeah.
That is so cool
like
to
that a
see
lot.
it. You know, it's so nice to see it. Sam's doing a really good job of like not like playing it over the top. Like she's playing it like it feels real in a way where she's like really grappling with this stuff, and it feels like psychologically she is like working through something. And I agree, that's a really interesting aspect of this newest franchise, and like pay that off, which is why it should have been Matthew Lillard, because it's Billy in her head and it was Matthew doing the killing, trying to get Billy to come out because she wants to remember his friend.
The next one should be Matthew Lillard.
It's too late now.
It is too
This is
late
the
now.
one. This is the one where they brought all the old Ghostface masks. They went through all.
I know.
They
What
used
is he gonna
knives
do
from
now?
the old
Yeah.
ones. Like they can do it. It's fine. But this was the moment to do it. You know, because the reason the cop did it was like, haha, we did this to like throw you off. You're a cop.
Yeah.
This is the first time where I was just like, you're a cop.
Yeah.
Just kill her.
You know what would be interesting?
Explain to me why they needed to do any of this.
I
And
know.
because at the end, they just explained they wanted Sam to suffer. Maybe kill the sister too, but just kill the 2 of them. That's it.
Look, we live in a world where cops are terrible, and I do not like them. And so they're out there murdering minorities. We have 2 Hispanic leads. 4 of the group of friends are minorities, and this is a
The
cop.
group of friends is 4. Everyone except his daughter and son is a person of color, which is so cool.
It is great.
We didn't even talk about it.
But you have all these people of color. You got a cop as the enemy. I feel like if he just planted evidence, he would have been way more successful in his endeavor of trying to murder them than whatever he was doing.
Yeah, because I guess I just realized what they were trying to do. They were trying to set it up that Sam went crazy. The narrative of Sam did kill Jack Quaid. I just forgot because it was so stupid. Yes. I forgot because it was so stupid. That's why they did all this. Okay, well,
The whole
whatever.
plan was to be like, oh, Sam went crazy and we're gonna frame, but like just plant evidence. Just be like, oh, she had a gun and shoot her. Like that's what cops do anyway. Like it would have been more realistic. It just seems like a lot of extra steps for no reason.
But like it's just such a shame because this movie had just the right amount, like the handsome maybe killer neighbor that was sleeping with Sam.
Yeah.
The guy from the first movie crushing on Jenna Ortega because they've both been victims and starting to connect. Will they? Won't they? All these little things was perfect. It was the perfect amount of something to give a little bit of character, to give a little bit of something in these movies. But can we talk about how awesome the apartment scene was? Having to walk across the 2 apartments, and you found out that the one guy isn't the killer, the handsome guy, and then the one girl loses her girlfriend as she's like coming across, and he's like doing this thing. That was cool.
A lot of cool, fun sequences. The bodega scene was scary. The train scene was fun. The murder in the apartment was fun. A lot of it felt brutal. Like you have characters bleeding out to death. They survive a lot of stabbings.
There was a lot of
films.
stabbings in this film. And 5 was a lot, and then 6 was even more.
Yeah.
This homeboy, how is homeboy still alive? The one that was completely stabbed into oblivion in the backyard in the 5th film, and now was completely stabbed on both sides by both the siblings like this.
Yeah, alive.
And he's still alive. Honestly, they get to come back, and we actually care a little bit about them. So I kind of like
care
that.
about them.
But one of them has to die the next movie.
We also like. There's a lot of misdirect of like, oh, this person can be the killer, this person can be the killer, and it's never anybody we actually care about. I feel like it would be nice if the killer was somebody that we cared about and wasn't a boyfriend.
They did that in the first movie,
whatever.
right? They did in the first movie. Like that's why that first movie was so revolutionary. It was the boyfriend and the friend, and that had never been done before.
Yes. But now it's time to do that again. Or it's time to bring something interesting, because like obviously we're gonna be suspicious if anybody new that you introduce. So you got to introduce.
Yeah, but now we know everybody for too long. We wouldn't buy that any of them would randomly become a killer now. Like, would you buy if Jenna Ortega became the killer in the next film?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because she's going through her own Billy Loomis thing.
No, that's Sam. Sam is.
No, I know. But
Melissa.
I know Sam is going through it.
Oh.
But she could say, like, I was having those thoughts too. I was having those feelings too. And you never talked to me. You never asked me how I was doing. You were so involved in your own, like, bullshit.
Can I be honest?
Mm-hmm.
We, a lot of the time, try to, like, write the sequel and write. These movies are really tough.
Oh,
it has to be revolutionary and be the same. Super tough.
Yeah,
they didn't nail the ending on this one, but still commendable.
I don't think I could write a Scream movie. I feel like there's been a couple of times where I'm like, well, we could write something like that.
We have written something better. Just
the Winnie the Pooh movie that we also watched during this
was
PAX
perfect.
Weekend.
Was perfect.
It was perfect. I feel like we could have improved it a little bit. You know, just
more than a
couple
little
of
bit,
things here and there.
Yeah,
like we don't need an old people
montage
of people we don't know. Maybe cut that out. But this one, it's like genuinely, other than the ending and like who the killers are, I think it was a great movie.
We should review that movie. We should review the Winnie the Pooh movie. If anyone wants to see that, let us know. We've watched it. We would totally do it.
It was a good movie.
We had a good time. But yeah, we agree. This movie, so good. So many things were fantastic. It fell apart just in the end because of the reveal. I mean, it's at the end of the day, these are whodunit movies. And if you're not satisfied with the whodunit, then the movie kind of falls apart, right?
That is true.
You know,
that is true. Who did do it indeed?
I do want to just mention the fact that Sidney's not in this film. And I'm completely fine with that.
I like that she wasn't in the film.
But the reason she was in the film was because they didn't offer her enough money and she knew her self-worth. And she said that out loud. Okay. And all the other actors like supported her about it. And so like we support Neve Campbell for not returning because she didn't get enough money that she should have.
Okay.
And I respect that a lot.
Yeah.
I respect that a lot. Because she's not doing anything else.
Yeah,
like she's got enough money to retire. Well, she doesn't. Is the thing. But most people would just to have it because they're not doing anything else, you know, to stay relevant, to get some more money.
Yeah.
But even though she probably could use it, she was like, oh, that's not enough for what I'm worth. I'm more important to the Scream franchise. I'm not coming back for that amount of money.
I kind of like
respect the shit out of that.
I respect
the shit out of that.
I respect that. Yeah.
That being said, she should come back for the next one.
They should bring her back.
And they should have killed Gale.
Yeah. They should kill Gale.
Should have died. Gale should have died.
Okay, what's your quick like next one, something they should do?
Well, it's hard because Gale should have died in this one, but Sidney needs to come back.
Okay.
They need to deal more with the mental anguish that Sam's going through.
Okay.
Jenna and What's-Her-Face just have to be together. Hayden Panettiere needs to be a little more prominent, just a part of the crew, not just popping in.
Yeah.
Matthew Lillard needs to come back. Now it's expected. Now it's going to be like, well, it should have been the last one, but
he can easily be a misdirect where he comes back, he's recovered, he's reformed, and then like it ends up being that the killer is a fanboy or something like that, or someone who was writing him letters in prison or some stupid crap. And you think it's Matthew Lillard because he's out and he's free, but it's not actually Matthew Lillard.
I like that a lot. That's how to misdirect me, right? I want Matthew Lillard back, bring him back, not as the killer, actually reformed, connecting with our characters in some way. Wow, that's good. That was really good.
Yeah, now that he's reformed too, maybe he like, since we're dealing with the potential psychotic break of Sam, he could actually like take her under his wing, talk to her about it from like a perspective of like, I did those things and I regret them. and I know what you're going through.
I think they need to have Sam kill someone, not outright Dexter style.
Yeah.
But I think there has to be somebody who it's probably like, oh, what is it? Is it probably like a fanboy who puts on a mask and is holding a fake knife and scares her?
She accidentally
and she
kills
straight
him.
straight up murders his ass.
Yeah.
And then you find out, wow, it was just a costume and a plastic knife.
Yeah.
And the cops don't blame her. No one blames her, but she's like, wow, she has to kill someone accidentally or something, you know, not because the killing she does in this film and the last one are super like, yeah, kill the killers. They deserve it. Right?
Yeah. I feel like
Something
in this
like that
franchise, especially, killing the killers is like seen as fine. It's just fine.
Yeah. So that happens. And then Matthew Lillard, you find out he's alive and he comes back. But who's the killer in the and then I guess Sam thinks it might be her. No, I don't want any DOD. I don't want any dissociative pretending that. I don't want that. That's been done. But there has to. So, but who's the killer? How does it? What's the satisfying? We've been everywhere now. Oh, does she have a long lost brother that's also Billy Loomis's kid?
I was just gonna say, like, the killer could just be like a fan. I mean, I don't want the killer to just be a fanboy.
They did that now, right?
Who could the killer be?
I don't know.
Oh, you know who the killer is?
Who?
Sydney's child.
They did her cousin though,
and the killer is just like a little kid.
Oh my god, stop it! A little Ghostface comes in, and everyone's like, "Oh, who could that be?"
Yeah.
Who could that be? I don't know.
I think that's the hard part about all these movies is that like you want it, like you can come up with a good script, you can come up with everything, but then the reveal of who the killer is has to be good and make sense, and it's difficult.
Yeah. And that's what the second and third movie had to deal with, where it's like somebody we already know isn't the killer. It has to be one of these new people, and there's only so many time for new people.
Yeah.
So you have to try to figure out which one it is, you know?
Yeah, I don't want it to be new people is the problem, but I also don't want it to be like someone for no reason.
We don't buy anybody.
Yeah.
I don't buy any of these people being close.
I feel like
to it. Maybe the sister, I guess.
Jenny, like I was saying, Jenny
but she's
Ortega.
tiny. She's too tiny. She is like 5'0", 100 pounds.
She gets a mech.
Oh my god.
She's just in a Ghostface mech, and she's like,
okay. I think we need to get out of here. I think we've hit the wall. I think that is the.
He shoots knife missiles out of his hand.
Okay. All right. Okay. Marcus, is there anything else about Scream 6 you'd like to talk about?
I want to talk more about this Scream Gundam. Okay.
Nobody wants to Scream Gundam.
I want to Scream Gundam. Make it happen.
I will say one thing that I found really refreshing was we weren't in Woodsboro. Scream works not in Woodsboro.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to go back to Woodsboro.
Let's go to New Jersey.
Okay. Well,
let's go there.
If you're going to New Jersey, you might as well go back to Woodsboro. Yeah, mechs made it worse. I don't think mechs are it, dude.
I think mechs are great. Mechs are the best thing.
I think let's sleep on this and let's figure out if we can figure out who the killer is, because I think our idea is pretty fantastic so far. And all we need to crack is who's the killer.
We'll figure it out. Mechs make everything better, though. That's what I'm going to say. That's my final.
Oh, okay.
That's my final word.
I think. You know what? It's stupid. No, it's stupid. You're probably going to think it's stupid too. But the only one that I might be able to buy becoming the killer is the homeboy who's been stabbed a million times that's still alive. Because of something, like maybe he does it because Sam is too much in Jenny Ortega's life, and he does it because he wants them to like distance themselves so he can have her to himself. I'm that's closer than we've been. It's not perfect, or I would kind of buy that.
Fast forward 20 years down the line.
We do makeup on them.
We old age makeup everybody. Okay.
They're all in their 40s.
Sam's in a relationship now. She's been married to the neighbor for like 20 years. Things are like going well.
I like that actor.
They have kids.
From Arrow. I like him.
Like things are good. But it turns out as the movie kind of unravels, you find out more and more that their relationship is not good. But then the killings start happening and they start getting closer together. And you find out that it's the boyfriend that after our husband now, and after all these years of a stale marriage, he was killing so they could trauma bond.
Again, not bad, but not. It's hard because these are people we like know, and it's like, and now they just start killing people.
Yeah, it's true.
Or maybe it's both of them. Maybe it's both of them for the same reason, because the two sisters are too close and they feel like they've lost their wives, so they do all these
another
murders
Ghostface one. There's two Ghostface operating at the same time who aren't working together. They just are two separate Ghostfaces.
Ooh, Marcus, that might be the thing that's just a little different that works.
Yeah, and then like they run into each other and they like start fighting, like Freddy versus Jason, but like Ghostface versus Ghostface.
Marcus, that's it. We're you found the shtick. You found the shtick. I like modern day Matthew Lillard. Sam's going through something, accidentally kills someone. I like that shtick. We just gotta figure out who the killer is.
Yeah. We can combine these and have it be Jenny Ortega and Matthew Lillard. Just combine all the things. They don't know each other's killing.
I thought you said Matthew Lillard is not a killer now. That's the point.
No, we're changing it now. Now that we need two ghost faces who don't know, it could be anybody.
But that's what I like.
Anything's on the table.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about Scream 6? Okay, let's get out of here. Marcus, did you like Scream 6?
I did like Scream 6. Nick, did you like Scream 6?
I loved it. 9 out of 10. I still think that even with the silliness we talked about,
7.5 out of 10.
Marcus, would you recommend this film?
I would recommend it. I think that it was like brutal. It was like intense. There was great scenes. Just know that the ending's going to suck. Even if you go into it thinking the ending is going to suck, it might be a little better for you because you know what's coming.
There are such, I totally agree with you. There's such memorable kills and scenes and acting and directing that this movie is totally worth the watch for anybody that likes horror, and even like people that don't like horror. I think this is like interesting, action-y, modern movie for people to watch. Marcus, last question. Will you be watching the sequel?
Definitely. Especially since we'll be writing it. I think it's a good one to look out for.
In March 2023, directors were hopeful for a 7th film in the series and said they would like to continue to see more movies in the franchise, whether we're involved or not. They also stated that they wanted Campbell to return in future installments, saying we'd love to be able to make another movie with her and we're not giving up.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Love it.
I agree.
All right, guys. If you like the show, go ahead and rate us, review us wherever you're at. You can become a Patreon at patreon.com/nowtrythiscast. You can start sending your suggestions for what we do next month anytime you would like. We vote on them near the end of the month, and then the next month we do that thing. Like this month, you guys decided we are doing Ted Lasso Season 3. We'll be doing that next week live on twitch.tv/nowtrythiscast. I ran out of breath right before the cast. And we hope to see you there. Good. Come and join the Discord. Come and join the Patreon, come and join the conversation and the community.
Join the conversation, join the Discord, join the community. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Remember, we love you, and to go out there and try things.
Good night.
Good night.
Friends get together so they can try things. How about it? It's podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try.
Speaking of dinosaur wrestlers, though, I had ChatGPT create 3 like monologues for if I won with my deck.
And you didn't get the chance to use them.
And I didn't get a chance to use it, so I'm going to read some of it now.
Okay.
Now, specifically, when we were dueling, I was dueling you and Joseph at the same time. So I want context, okay?
Right.
Now, all I told it was to write a monologue, final turn monologue, with Yugi facing 2 opponents at the same time with a deck of wrestling dinosaurs.
Okay.
That's it. I didn't tell him to like do it silly, do what I just...
Nothing. That's
go.
it.
Okay.
Got it.
I'm going to read it.
You have to do it in an anime Yu-Gi-Oh kind of voice, though.
Okay. I never thought I'd be facing 2 opponents at once, but here we are. And you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. I may be using a deck full of wrestling dinosaurs, but don't underestimate their power. Each and every one of them is strong, agile, and ready to take on any challenge. I know that my opponents are tough and they'll stop at nothing to win, but that's okay because I won't stop either. I'll fight with everything I got until the very end. So let's do this. It's time to show the world what true dueling is all about. It's not just about winning, it's about heart and determination, and I've got plenty of both. My deck, it's like so funny because it keeps going when you think it's gonna stop. It's like, oh, that's a good last
Just
line.
like the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. It's exactly like the Yu-Gi-Oh anime.
My deck may be unconventional, but that's what makes it so special. I've poured my heart and soul into it, and it's become a part of me. So bring it on, opponents. I'm ready for whatever you've got. Let's make this final turn one for the history books. Let's show the world that even with wrestling dinos, anything is possible.
That's so good.
It was pretty
That's
good.
exactly like Yu-Gi-Oh! And that stopping thing, that's how Yu-Gi-Oh! Works. Remember, if somebody activated Pot of Greed, which they activated every duel, they said, and now I've drawn my Pot of Greed. Do you know what this does, duelist? Pot of Greed, when I play it from my hand, is a spell card, and it continues to be a spell card as I place it in my spell and trap card zone, and when I activate it, I get to go from my deck onto the top and draw 2 cards. That's right, 2 cards off the top of my deck. I don't know what they are, but I hope they will help me succeed, because when I activate Pot of Greed, I get card advantage with these 2 extra cards I have drawn from the top of my deck that are now new to my hand that I get to use to destroy you because of Pot of Greed, the magic card that I have played on the field to defeat you, Kaiba.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Was like when you're a kid and you have to write a 500-word essay and you're like, I just gotta fill it up. I just gotta fill it up.